Welcome back to On the Drive with me, Mer Francis. Right, so we got something a bit different today. Managed to fix this. Well, I say fix, I don't know if it's fixed yet, I haven't actually had it running. But, problem we got today, sports fans, is there's a captive nut inside the chassis. And I've got to take the steering arm, box, rack, whatever, off to lower that down far enough. It's on the jack at the moment, so I can cut the channel open, get the captive nut out that's broken, re-weld another captive nut back in there, put the cradle back in, put the engine back in, scratch out, put the clutch back on, put the engine back in there, and we'll just see if it works. That's me where I am. So yeah. Right, so what we've managed to do is I've cut the bolt loose. Not the best angle, you can't really see. Maybe I'll come around here and show you. No. Let's try that one again. Yeah. Right, let's have a go with this one. There you go. Right, so where that is, there is a captive bolt in the chassis. Not that you can really see because I just angle grinded it off, but that holds the front wheels and everything in place. See, they shouldn't, I mean they should move, but they shouldn't really wobble. Yep. So, got to undo this, pull the steering linkage out. That will hopefully out the way. I'll come back to you when we've cut this hole out of here, and we'll go from there. So, right, managed to just get that off with my steering rack removal tool. Yeah, so now you can see obviously it's dropped away from the chassis. Not as much as I'd like, but we're gonna have to work with that. This side, of course, there's miles of room, but that's not the side we need to take off. Let's get a bit of light in here, I can show you a bit more then, hopefully. Right, so there you can see inside the chassis, you can probably just about see the top of that nut, this not moving. That stud shouldn't be there. I just hacksawed it, grinded it off. But the plan is now to open her up, and we'll just go from there, because I haven't really got much of a plan, but it's the only plan I've got, so it'll have to do. These are my spacer plates. They go in between the chassis and the engine cradle. It just lowers it down a little bit, because you know, it has got an automatic gearbox tunnel in. We fitted that a couple years ago when I was running a turbo. That's an mt75 gearbox, in case you were wondering. I know one or two of you were. It does go in without widening the tunnel, but when in Rome, build a spa. No, that's not the phrase, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, we'll cut that opposite side out, this side, and I'll enlighten you a little bit more when we've cut a bit more out. Great success. We have goggles. Don't know where that accent came from. Right, so I've made an incision. It's too late to go back now, obviously, because there's a great big hole in the chassis. But I don't know whether to leave this in here and try and fold it out, because cutting that's going to be an absolute nightmare with that engine cradle in the way. That's as far as it goes. End of story. What do I do? We'll try and fold it out. Trouble is, this is, you know, I don't know if you know much about cars, but this is pretty structural. So the least I can cut out of this, the better, really. But, you know, yeah. At least there's some good solid metal there, though. I mean, that'll be handy to know. It's not like there's, you know, rust anywhere or anything. Anyway, most of the strength's there, probably. But yeah, so, right. We'll crack on, see what we can get done, and go from there. Okay, so after some percussive maintenance, I've managed to open the gap, inverted commas. You can see now, let me just put that down. Right, that one, nope. That one, look, she's still wired to the chassis. Not sure why there's wood in there, but there you go. This one is not still welded to the chassis. Oh, how have I done that? Yeah, my belt was stuck in there. Right, so yeah, so that one's come, this one's come unwelded, is that a thing? Well, it doesn't really look like it had a huge amount holding it on there, to be honest. Let's have a look in the hole. No, barely even tacked on. Right, we'll clean that up. I'll put a couple of blobs on it, fold that back up, and I guess we'll go from there. I don't know whether that one was any good or not. I'll see if I can clean the thread on that one. One of them didn't do up, but yeah, doesn't really look that high this side, to be honest. Righto, we'll crack on. Yeah, so it seems this little mystery keeps getting curiouser and curiouser. I'll put on it so you can see a bit better. That looks like somebody's been in here before. Sorry I'm shaking, but that's a helicoil if I am not mistaken. So, where do we go from here? Do we just change the nut completely? Because that's a fine thread. And I'd rather go to standard. Standard thread? No. What's it? You know, this one. Metric? Is that metric? I think they call it metric. I don't know. You would think I would know. But essentially, you can see the thread count is different. The pitch is different. The thickness is the same. No, it's not. I'm lying to you again. That's an M8. Ah, Sandors. And that's not M8. I don't know what that is, but right, what we're going to do. Well, that one's gone forever. I ain't finding that again. It's not like I needed it. Yeah, it is. What I'll do is convert it to M10. No, M8 10.9. What I would like to do is put like a tube in here and then have the nut on the top. But I ain't got time to fabricate all that and piss around, and you know what I'm saying. So I think I'm going to be going down the bottom shed and finding a nut and bolt, hossing her back in. I'll have to put the engine cradle back up somehow. Fuck knows how I'm going to do that. No, I can use them plates, can't I? I can. Oh, I've done it again. How do I keep? I use these as a spacer because these holes are pretty much exactly where, well, they are exactly where they need to be. I had them made for me. So I'll use these as a template of where the bolt holes need to be. Weld the bolt in there, take the bolt back out. No, weld a nut in there, take the bolt out, leaving the spacing correct and the nut in where it needs to be. Well, it makes sense in my head anyway, but can we just take a second though? Can we just take a second and look at this car? Those wheels, look at them. Look how shiny that one is. She needs to be out. Got to get this thing out. She's got to be back out on the road again. Right, I'm going to have to go because I need a poo. However, I will update you in a minute. Right, so I'll show you what I've done so far. Put the nut back in the front one, that seems okay. Found a different bolt for the back one. Just got to basically weld that castle nut now to the chassis. I've cleaned up in the rust. Right, this is the offended item I'm going to use today. The old MiG-130 gasless. Oh, ain't she a thing. Might put her onto... I'll put her on warp. I don't know what wire speed's on. We'll sort that out. We'll just see how bad of a job we can do. Right. I am going to put the gun... no. I'm going to put the phone down so I can do some what I call welding. Probably not, you know, everyone's taste, but if it holds a nut still, is it bad? Right, I'll come back in a bit. Right, so I've done that little job. It's probably not my best work, but it most definitely isn't the worst. The nut looks like it's on a 45-degree angle, so that's good. As long as it undoes, which it should do. I think I've got a bit of weld splatter on the thread, but who cares. Right, we'll just let that cool down a jiff, and we'll go from there. Right, I've had my percussive tool out again. That sounds weirder than it needs to. Right, yeah, so I've hammered the chassis back to somewhere near where it belongs. Just going to put some glue around the outside of it now. Well, I'll clean the scum off first, but put some glue around the outside with the old metal gluer. And yeah, I'll sand it back so you can't see my shit welds, and it'll look mint. If you squint, that is. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say it. That is probably the best I've ever welded with that gasless. Look at that. Got some beads going there. Yeah, maybe not so much on the top there. Got a few holes. Yeah. But you won't see that when she's cleaned up. Is that a hole or is it just a... yeah. Well, we'll go back over them three little piggies there. And we'll clean her up and you'll never know I've been there. Way up then. Right, so... don't know what's worse, that or that. Yeah, welded it up, cleaned it up. It ain't the best, but it's probably as good as new. Maybe. Considering the position of it, I think that turned out pretty good. Right, nothing else is on fire. No, okay. I think we'll continue to put her back together and maybe go and get the engine hoist and snips her. Oh, I've turned around, yep. So we'll hoss her back in, hopefully we'll get that old girl back in. And then we'll see what the time's doing. And we can't fire it up today because it's got no oil pressure switch in the engine, so it's just going to be sick everywhere if I try and start it. But we'll get the clutch back on, hopefully get the engine back in, and we'll just go from there. Right you are, in a bit. So we've managed to get the tractor out of the way. And talking of tractors, oh look at this. This little beauty. Look at that. She's singing away lovely. Beast. So we come back into the main arena. Right, I'm just wazzing the clutch bolts in now. Obviously haven't torqued them or anything because they're still massively loose, but I'll wazz the clutch in, and hopefully next video will be the engine will be in. I won't be starting it, obviously I can take the oil pressure, but yeah, it's going nice. Right, so engine is now hanging precariously by some extremely rickety hooks. I'll leave that in there for a minute. Yep, I'm sure that'll be fine. Right, I might time lapse this because it might take a bit of jiggling, so you'll have to bear with me. Alright, as you can see, I've just dropped the motor in. Oh, no, there you go, that's better. As you can see, I just dropped the motor in. Now we just got to line that clutch up with that spigot shaft there. I think I might have to come back up with the engine a little bit and just tilt it this way, which it will, I think. And then a bit of jiggling, so I'll put you on here and hopefully you'll see the result.